All right, guys. So basically, I've been given the opportunity to share this word with you guys. First off, I want to thank God, for being good, for giving me this word. I want to thank Jonathan as well for giving me this opportunity to share this with you guys as well. Um, this message isn't going to be super long or none of that. It's going to be, quick, kind of quick. But for me, it's important, and perhaps it might be important to some of you guys as well. And I just want to share this along with you guys. So basically, I'm going to be talking about light versus darkness. It's something that can be seen. It's a theme that can be seen, not only in the Bible, across the whole entire Bible, but it's a theme that is seen across so many different types of movies. For example, Star Wars, there's Darth Vader versus, I'm not sure, but I think it's Luke Skywalker. What other movies? Basically, every single movie, guys, has a good guy and a bad guy. A guy filled with hope and light and the desire to change the world, and a guy that has been traumatized by his past and has become dark and, just filled with hatred for the world. I'm trying to come up with another movie, but I mean, it's just basically every single movie. You know what I mean? Like even Jaws, like the main character is a fisherman who's like trying to save the world, or his the people, and then Jaws is like a monster. So good versus bad. I don't know. It's a bad example, but you get my point, guys. So we all have a dark side. It's not that some of us are born good and some of us are born bad. We're all born with this half and half, this bad and this good. The Asian culture likes to call it as a yin and a yang. Find the perfect balance between both. But basically in any other type of culture, we know it as good or bad, as light or darkness. And even in movies or in real life, it is up to us to determine which side we feed the most, which side takes over our bodies. If light takes over our bodies, then we become empowered, enlightened. We become powerful people that have the capacity to influence others for the best, for the better. But if we let ourselves become influenced by the darkness, by the hatred and evil, then we also have the ability to influence the world, but through evil means. People that let their light shine was Jesus, Martin Luther King Jr., like Mother Teresa, people like these, people that use their evil and hatred and let it grow within them and overpower them. Hitler, Stalin, Mao Zedong. That sounds off, but you know what I mean. Just like any regular people. So feed the darkness and hatred and depression, stuff like that will follow. You feed the light, and love, peace, and friendships will also follow. But you can't just let them be. You take action in their growth and their development. So Ephesians 5:11, it says, "Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them." So not only does it say don't participate in this darkness, but it says expose them. In other words, don't just let it be, but take action to bring them out to light so that it doesn't harm anyone else. You know what I mean? Have the courage to face that which you know is wrong, that which you know is dark. Because often, a lot of times, people see problems. There's problems everywhere, guys. Our society is filled with problems, especially right now, during this type of time. And as a society, we tend to look at the problem and like try to ignore it because we say that we have too many problems, on our plate already, that we have too much to handle or too much stress to handle. And so we ignore the problems or the pleas of those around us. But the thing is that you try not to become involved in the problem, but you become the problem if you ignore it. You know what I mean? So the only way to solve the problem is to take action against it. Not taking action is the same thing as promoting the darkness, promoting the problem. So in reality, there is only one or two ways to go about things. For example, Martin Luther King Jr. Sorry, I keep looking at the screen, but what's up? So, Martin Luther King Jr., guys, basically he saw darkness with his own eyes through the lens of racism. You know, I'm sure racism still exists now. However, personally, I believe racism still exists now. I just think it got better at hiding. You know, recently I saw a video about this college student. He was just running like he did it every single day. But you know, a dad and the son of white, of course, they chased him down and they shot him. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I posted it on my Instagram, and a lot of people have posted it as well. And they just killed him because he thought he looked suspicious. But of course, we all know that that would not have happened if the runner was white. So racism still exists, guys. It's just become better at hiding. And much of this hiding is thanks to, you know, Martin Luther King Jr. scaring it away a bit. So Martin Luther King, he kind of, you know, saw the darkness and he decided to do something about it. So he decided to do something about it because if he hadn't, him and his people, you know, up until this day, guys, they still suffer, but they would be suffering even more if someone didn't decide to take a stand against it. He could have just ignored the problems and be like, oh, well, my life sucks and it's gonna suck for my future generations. But he decided to do something different. And because of that one man's choice, we have much, much more equality right now among races. So essentially, every day, we have to make sure to expose our own thoughts for what they are and not hide them, you know? It's impossible to hide your thought because eventually that thought is going to manifest itself into an action. So every day we have to do our best to replace those negative, dark thoughts with the positive ones. Because I know you guys might have, you guys might have good thoughts, but you might also have dark thoughts somewhere in there. And you may think that you're good at hiding them. However, those dark thoughts, they find their way to, to manifest themselves through your actions. Whether it be like, if you're in a bad mood, obviously that bad mood is reflected and other people catch on to it. So keep in mind that your thoughts are influenced and they're shown out to the people. So how is darkness fed, essentially? If we go look at Ephesians 6:12, it says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places." So essentially this verse tells us that our enemy, that the source of darkness does not come from another being, from another physical being, another human. It comes from something much, much more, deeper than this, something that we cannot see, and therefore we can't fight against it with our own physical attacks, with our own physical means. The only way to beat something spiritual is to fight it with spiritual weapons. So darkness begins to crawl into your life the moment you begin to distance yourself away from Jesus. We're all going to go through, times that are going to be difficult and challenging, and we might question our faith at times. However, don't make sure that time is not elongated. Make sure that you restrict that amount of time and make it shorter, because the longer you are with this being confused or like staying away from God or Jesus, the more time you're giving the enemy or the darkness to take a hold of you and to drag you down. So basically, you want to close that window of opportunity for the enemy as close as you possibly can. And always make sure to stay under the protection of God. Because, if you're not under the protection, you're open bait, basically. So darkness can also come, guys, during, for example, times of loneliness. Perhaps you've felt lonely before, maybe you haven't. Personally, I have before at times. However, you have to understand how to overcome this, because if you're not careful on how to overcome this, your mind may become manipulated, may become tricked, and you may fall into a deeper hole. So loneliness may come because you may feel like you are not important, perhaps in during a certain phase in your life. Then you might begin to feel resentful towards other people, towards your friends or society, because you feel like they aren't having your back, because you feel like they aren't supporting you. But all this is, of course, a trick to make you think this way, because obviously other people aren't going to know how you feel. You're the only one. So the only way to get yourself out of this phase, out of this situation, is for you to actively do it yourself. Don't expect or don't wait for other people to do it, because it might not occur. It might not happen. There will be moments in your life when you may become depressed, perhaps, and you may even feel like no one in the whole world understands you. You know, it happens to everyone. Sometimes we have thoughts, we think our parents don't understand us, our siblings don't understand us, our friends don't understand us. So we become isolated and focused within our own mind. This is another trick as well. Everyone goes through depression, you know, we all face it. However, it depends on us whether we overcome it or we accept it as our way of life. There's a lot of kids I know, there's a lot of people I know that they've accepted depression as part of their identity. And so the only way for them to solve this is through perhaps medications or stuff like that. But in reality, there's a lot more ways to overcome things like this. You know, Jesus has given us the power to overcome it already. And besides that, you know, depression basically comes when you have too much time to think about, when you have too much free time, basically. If you're always busy, always trying to be occupied with personal growth and growing and becoming better as a person, you won't let these type of thoughts to invade your mind or come in your way, because you won't have any time, to accept these kinds of thoughts. Darkness, however, is also, received in you or, creeped into your life through desires and pleasures. We all have our own desires and pleasures. There's a lot of different, types. Some it's, we all know. So anyways, after you give in, you kind of automatically, when you give into the pleasure, you automatically feel guilty, That's the nature of giving in to your weakness. You feel guilty, you feel like you're not worthy, you feel like you're not strong enough. So the more you do these things, the more you give in to these desires, the weaker you're going to become, the less resilient, your mind is going to be less protected, your heart's going to be less protected, and you're going to be way more prone to be, to let darkness come in, to be more depressed, to be more moody, because you believe that you're not strong enough to overcome your own obstacles. There's a quote that says, this goes to guys and girls, but the quote goes like this: the man that conquers the man must first conquer himself in order to conquer the world. That quote basically speaks for itself. You can't go out and take action in the world. You can't go out and change the world and have an influence if you first cannot control yourself, your own desires, your own pleasures, if you first cannot discipline yourself to be who you want to be. Don't expect to change other people, to influence other friends, if you first cannot be consistent with your own mind and your own thoughts. If you're constantly swaying between good and bad, should I do this, should I do that, God or not, should I go to church or not? If you truly want to make an influence, first work on yourself, discipline yourself, know who you are and what you want, and after you conquer yourself, nothing's going to be impossible for you. You're going to have the confidence to take on the world. You're going to have the confidence to take on the greatest enemy, you're going to have the confidence to go against the darkest darkness. But it all comes with you conquering yourself. And God has given us that power. He's given us strength. I believe the verse says that He's given us the power of strength, the willpower and self-domain, and not the power of cowardice or hatred, something along those lines. So, anyways, where was I? So basically, the more you felt into a desire or pleasure or sin, the more you're going to say, what's the point? I've already failed. I'm just going to keep going, keep enjoying this even more because I've already failed before. But keep in mind that with each time that you make this mistake, the weaker you're going to become, the less valuable you're going to feel. You're going to feel unworthy. And it's going to be, over time, it's just going to be more difficult to get out of this hole because you're going to be so entrapped with it. It's going to become a habit. and you're not even gonna know how to get out. It's gonna become part of you. In order to escape this, don't let this desire, this pleasure, this sin establish deep roots. Before it does that, make sure to rip it apart. And if there's already roots planted, if darkness is already making its way through your body and through your mind, it's never too late. You got to start now, before it becomes even stronger within you. So remember that darkness is not always seen. Oftentimes it is felt, and suppressing it or trying to hide it in the back of your mind or in the back of your heart, that's not going to help at all. So you must take action every single day, every single moment, and fight for your light and fight for your happiness. If you don't do anything, if you just remain stagnant and conformed with the person that you are now, darkness, is just going to take over without you even trying. Because either you fight for light or the darkness fights to take over you. It's kind of like that. It's kind of simple. So always train your mind, always stay prepared to combat against darkness. And how is the light fed? I told you how darkness is fed. Isolation, loneliness, maybe through depression, through giving into your desires and your wants. But how is the light fed? In Matthew 5:14 it says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Here we see that light should not be hidden. Those who have light within them, despite the darkness around them, the light shines brighter. Even if they're the only light in the house, that light alone has the power to shine through the whole house. If you're the only person that believes in God in your own house, you have the power to change emotions in the whole household. Everyone around you will kind of be questioning themselves, like, why is he so determined to follow God, and we're kind of like, we're not living life to the fullest. We're always this and that, but he's always so happy and joyful and enjoying his time at church and with God. And they're sooner or later gonna question their own beliefs just because you're so focused on yours. Like I said earlier, if you want to influence change, you have to be set and firm in your own beliefs. You have to be a man and a woman of character, and be disciplined and constant. Because a lot of the times people look at your behaviors. They might not tell you, but they look at the way you act, the way you talk, the way you perceive the world, and then that's how they decide how they're going to act with you, and if they should follow you or stay away from you. So this light is not hidden. It's like a city on a hill. That's what you should strive to be. Don't strive to hide away from the world because you're embarrassed of who you are, because you're insecure about how the way you look, or because you don't know how to talk with people, you don't know how to express yourself and your ideas. All that stuff can be overcome, guys. Don't give in to these things, because keep in mind that we're not born this way. We were shaped like that by our environment. However, since we were shaped, we can also shape ourselves and reverse, the negative sides and reinforce the positive sides. Everyone can transform, we all have our own destiny that we can influence and change. The way we were born is not the way we're gonna die. Don't ever accept that. So the light within you is fed primarily through Jesus. If you don't have Jesus as a hope, as a center for your life, then life becomes automatically darker. Since Jesus is basically light, without him, life becomes, kind of meaningless. It becomes very unclear, very blurred, and whenever you go through a problem, you don't have anything to look up to. You don't have any hope. You know what I mean? If it's just you on your own and you don't have God, you don't have that light to shine, to guide you in the moments of tempest, when the winds are hard and the waves are crashing. Imagine if you're just lost in that whole mess and you don't know where to go, you're obviously going to go insane. But if you have that light, you're going to remain grounded, you're going to have peace, even in the darkest, the most dangerous difficulties. You're always going to have hope that everything's going to be okay, whether it be through disease or through famine, hunger, basically the same thing. if you're alone, if you're the only one that believes the way you do, you're always going to have that light to guide you and to give you the strength to never ever give up. So strengthen that bond with Jesus, because the more you strengthen it, the more light you will shine, the more you will reflect happiness and positivity and genuine actual love for other people. It's difficult to find people that love other people right now nowadays. We're also caught up in our own lives that we don't really care much about our neighbor or a friend. We're more focused on our own things. But the more we connect with God, the more we realize that helping other people is super essential, and connecting with other people is super essential. And that's how you find a meaningful life. So the light becomes stronger through good friends, like I was saying, that you can truly rely on. It's hard to find good friends to truly rely on, but they're out there, Without a doubt, they're out there. I'm sure you guys are great friends. You guys can rely on each other. Over here in my church, I have great friends that I can rely on. The key is to establish great friendships and relationships, strings that attach together. So like, for example, we have the church here, and then we have a string that attaches one friend, another string attaches another friend. It's kind of like a web, you know what I'm saying? And that way, we're all connected through our own struggles, and we're able to help each other. But if one of us detaches from the main source and from the other string of friends, we become, like I said, prone to darkness. And so we become more able to be pulled away. Boop, boop. So always remain connected, guys, because in isolation, without people to rely on, with similar beliefs as you to keep you strong, sooner or later you're going to become accustomed to the things of another environment, of another group of people that may not be as good as these people that try to help you with strength, that try to strengthen you, give you positive word, meaning, basically goals. So friends, good friends. The light also shines more within you by finding new sources of light that will strengthen yours. So this also can be done through, like, for example, new habits. You may already have habits, negative habits, that are limiting your light, that are making you more dark, that are keeping you away from becoming the person that you want to be. However, there are habits that help your light become stronger. For example, these are just examples, but I'm sure you have your own as well. For example, meditating, always meditating, thinking about your day, thinking about what you did good, what you did wrong, about how you can improve, about whether your emotions took over you that day, or whether you were stronger than them. Always meditating on your mistakes and your successes, and how to minimize your mistakes and maximize your successes. Running is another thing. You can run, you can think, clear your mind. Learning a new hobby, keeping your mind nourished, basically, and constantly exposed to new things, so that there is no space for darkness to take over, for darkness to infiltrate. Because when you're home alone, when you have nothing to do, your mind begins to race with thoughts. When you're not busy, when you're not doing this, you become lazy, you become unmotivated, and you become unhappy with yourself, basically. Always have a goal in mind, always have something to fill your mind that's positive, because if you don't, your mind has to be filled up one way or another, but you don't want darkness to be that thing. So basically, life is supposed to be challenging. If you truly want to grow, it's supposed to be challenging. You have to challenge yourself every day. It's supposed to make you feel scared or even worried at times. This is how you grow, through fear and not comfort. If you are never scared of a challenge, never focused on overcoming an obstacle, that just basically means that your life has become, just a straight line. There is no excitement, there's no, sad moments. It's just become very monotonous and boring, basically. You want your life to be like more of a roller coaster, Of course, there's going to be sad times, that's natural. But you want, to feel emotions. You want to live life. You don't want to just be stuck like this, because if you're stuck like this, you become more prone to go into darkness. So challenge your mind, guys. challenge your life, face new obstacles, face things that scare you. You know, if you're insecure about your life, you can't just like shell yourself and become more insecure and reinforce your thoughts that you're insecure because this and that. You have to pop that bubble and get out of there, get out and challenge yourself, challenge your mind, challenge your negative thoughts, because at the end of the day, who cares what other people think? At the end of the day, it's just you and God alone that truly understand each other, truly understand the way you think. So don't be so caught up on what other people think of you, on what other people talk, on how other people perceive you to be. If you're too nice, if you're too caring, don't let people take advantage of you. Reinforce yourself, know who you are, and basically be you. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Do not be conformed to this world. This world is so easy to be guys, it's so easy to be influenced by this world, to be caught up with the wave of this world. But don't be followers, you know what I mean? Like, be leaders, be trendsetters for something positive, for something good. What's the point of following rappers that influence like drug usage, obviously the negative use of girls? What's the point of following this type of culture? Right now people think it's cool. I mean, it's whatever. But only because other people do it, only because other friends like to do it, doesn't mean you should as well. It means you shouldn't be a tail, you should be a head, you know what I mean? You should influence change, even if you're alone, even if you're standing alone. It's better to be walking the right path than be accompanied by a tons of friends walking the wrong path. It's always better to be alone in that regards, because you have God and you have yourself and you have peace within you. So challenge your mind, body, and soul. Renew your mind every single day. If no one else is doing it around you, be the first one, simple as that. And the rest will surely follow. Surely enough, other people will find you and seek you and try to be like you. But don't try to fit in with the trends, because the trends are kind of lame if you truly know who you are. If you have a dream, guys, chase it. I'm basically almost finishing up this whole thing. I just want to share this as a reminder with you guys. If you have a dream, chase it, basically. If you don't have one, then your goal right now should be to find one. There's a lot of us that don't have a dream right now. A lot of us do. Don't feel bad if you don't. If you do, help others to find theirs. Seeking the dream will be your goal in the meantime. For example, like buying a cool car or getting a relationship, that's not a dream. That's just a temporary goal. Because once that happens, then what, A dream is something that gives you a purpose and it gives you an identity. And without that dream, you basically have no purpose in life. God has given us purpose, already. And our parents have already sacrificed a ton of stuff, they sacrificed pain and struggle for us to be here. And it would be a shame if we wasted that opportunity by living life each day, wasting it, and not knowing who we are, not knowing what we want to be. First, know who you are, and then go after whatever it is you want, because then you won't care about what other people think. Maybe your dream is to become a great musician or something, or maybe like a great businesswoman or man. Or maybe your dream is to travel across the world and to meet new people and help them, help those struggling and get to know their stories. It's this dream that will help you stay grounded and will provide you the guidance that you need to go towards the light. Without this type of dream, guys, you will just be wandering around the world, nowhere to go, and so darkness will become attractive to you since there's nothing else to do. That's how a lot of people fail. That's how a lot of people become alcoholic or, drug users, because since they have no dream, no focus on which to 100% put their efforts on, they're willing to be swayed by their friends or by other people's opinions since they have nothing else to do or nothing to lose. But when you have a dream, you value yourself 100%. You value yourself, and you don't have no time to be wasting around with bad people or with bad habits. So let's make sure that finally, that when we reach our old age, that one day when we become older, we have our own kids and then our own grandchildren, that we can look back at life and truly be happy for everything that we did, that we can look back and have no regrets, have no bad memories of being overtaken by darkness and making bad mistakes, but instead that we can look back and have memories filled with moments of light, of positivity, that we were able to influence other people because we first conquered ourselves. We had the courage to conquer ourselves, the discipline to do it, to work on ourselves each and every single day, to work on our mind and our thoughts, and to let light win over darkness. Let us not be bitter. Let us not grow old and resentful and filled with hatred towards society because we weren't able to accomplish our dreams, because we let darkness overtake us. Let us not do that, guys. Essentially, let us be a generation that passes positivity and light to the next generation, and not one that takes hatred and darkness and passes it on to our children and grandchildren. Let us pass on, a good inheritance. Every day we must make choices, and these choices will either result in a bright or dark tomorrow. So guys, that is basically the message for today that I wanted to share with you guys. I like to talk about this stuff because personally, I've gone through this. I've gone through both phases as well. I've learned how to overcome my own thoughts to a certain degree. Obviously, there's so much more I need to learn. And even people that are 60 years old, they never stop learning about themselves. They never truly understand, all the mysteries about life and God. However, I'm trying each and every single day, and I've just realized more and more every day how important it is for you to truly become powerful within yourself, for you to become disciplined, and to know who you are, and to know who God has made you, and to act upon that, to actually act upon that, and make a change, not only in your life, but in the lives around you. Because if you think about it, let's say starting right now, you choose the path of light, you begin to work on yourself, you begin to read more, to become more knowledgeable, to focus on your dreams, and to love other people. In 10 years, just imagine where you could be. On the other hand, if you choose hatred, if you become to always embrace depression, if you're always anxious or insecure about yourself or unhappy with who you are, think about where you're going to be in 10 years. In 10 years, compare yourself with the light and the darkness. It's going to be a huge, huge difference. So every day matters, every day counts, starting right now. And, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen. I hope you guys have not been affected, too bad from this whole mess that's been going on around us. And like I always say, guys, I believe in each and every single one of you, like I believe in myself. I'm sure I'm capable of achieving greatness just like you guys are, each and every single one of you. Don't let your current situation define who you are. If you're in darkness right now, don't let that define who you are, because deep down you know who you are, and you know that darkness is not it. So strive to become more and more closer to the light, and that's achievable through good friends, healthy relationships, through getting to know yourself and to working on yourself and never giving up on your dreams. So guys, that is about all I have for you today, and I just want to thank y'all. So love y'all, hope y'all are blessed, and take care. See you guys.